Hi, my name is Hougaard Winterbach. Next to me here is Kannemeyer. We've got a show on at the moment. The show is entitled World Without End. And we'd like to chat a little bit about our process and what we've done. Mark, would you like to chat about it?
Yes. Thanks, Hougaard. I've got quite a few drawings and a couple of illustrations on the show. And the working method for me is to cull the ideas from my sketchbooks. And when I land in front of a blank piece of paper, I normally have absolutely no ideas of what I want to do with it, how the drawing should start. And I normally start as if I'm working in my sketchbook. I start making marks on the paper without any planning. Once I've got something on the paper, I start with blocking in certain areas, having masses, distributing masses, trying to work out some kind of composition. And I take it from there, basically. What I'm trying to do is not plan everything right from the start. I don't have a very specific idea of what I'm working with, what I'm working towards. I literally let it roll, almost in a kind of natural way. I don't know how you start working on your sculptures, how much you put into the planning phase of it, but I can't really explain how I start with my drawings. I literally just let it flow, almost.
Yeah. I'd like to start by saying that a drawing is the foundation of both Mark and myself, of our art. That's where we start. That's ground zero for us. And the same, even though I've made sculpture, there's exactly the same thing is applicable. I start with drawing. This work that I've just done started with a series of drawings I did around 2 years ago. As I draw, there's usually some type of narrative, which I think is also existent in Mark's work. We work with narrative, we work with story. It's hidden, but it's there. So, as far as my sculptures are concerned, I agree with Mark. I don't start with a very clear idea. I would be thinking, all right, it's got to be figurative. There should be a figure on a wheel, or the figure is walking or crawling. I might have that idea. Or crystals are sprouting from the surface of the sculpture. Yes, but the process is everything. It's a constant process of forming and reforming, fashioning, refashioning, adding and subtracting. So I'm constantly working with shapes and images that I change up to a point where the questions have died down, and there's some type of resolve. Then I would say the sculpture would take its final form. As far as I work very small, or the sculptures are relatively small, and I like that because it harks back to my jewellery training. Jewellery is in a sense miniature sculpture, and these sculptures are quite small, and I like to show something as if it's an amulet or a talisman or an object of magic. It's small. People must go in close to see what exactly is happening. So the size is also important to me. As far as content is concerned, I don't like prescribing a text. People must make of the work what they get out of it, which is the same with Mark. There's no prescribed text. The work is everything. What you see, in a sense, is what you get. But there is content to both our work, always, because both of us have looked at the history of art extensively, and we are constantly, we live in a world of images. We're both collectors of comic books and graphic novels. Mark collects film. So we constantly, our world is inundated with images. So they have to have some kind, they have to rub off on, you know, in some way.
I agree. We use the reference framework that we've built up over the years.
Yes.
And there's an echo of those things in the work.
So as Mark says, I constantly look at images, and they subconsciously, for both Mark and I, these images find a place in our vocabulary, in our working vocabulary. With Mark's work, there's a very strong narrative content, but these stories, this conceptual element, that is there. The spectator can get out of the work what they want. We're not really worried about that. There is content, but for us, I don't want to speak for Mark, but I think he'd agree with me that form is the foremost. Content, if you want the content, we can give it to you, but the form is important. That's what we'd like to experience when you look at our work. Mark, is there anything else that you'd like to say?
Yeah, I can speak a little bit about my own work.
Yeah.
I've got large abstract landscape drawings, and then I've got figurative work as well. So there's not really a contrast between the two, because the figurative work is very abstract as well. But there are recognizable figures in the work. The landscape drawings are not observed landscapes. They are not drawn from nature. They are imaginary landscapes. And these landscapes are, although we can recognize maybe mountains and water and elements that you do find in nature, these are intermingled with completely abstract shapes, and I would like to call them emotive landscape drawings. So one should, or one could, if one stands in front of these drawings, feel some kind of emotion. Maybe there's anger, maybe there's speed, maybe there's reflection, that can find a form in these abstract drawings. And these emotions, these emotive landscapes are the elements that I'm working with. In the figurative drawings, the figures are very abstract as well. They are not recognizable human or animal figures. They've been manipulated into strange new shapes, and they've got allusions to human figures. But when you look at maybe the proportions, you will find that they are made up, they are imaginary, and closer to the fantastical.
Yeah, I'd like to add something, something which is also prevalent in our work, is the absurd, the bizarre, the surreal.
Yes, there's a strong element of I think humor as well.
Yeah, yes.
It goes together with the surreal and the absurd.
Yeah. I have Mark's figures are strange, outworldly. I've got a monster drinking tea, taking a break from Armageddon. It doesn't make sense, but it just came out that way. So there are various points of reference in our work, and in a sense, that's why we exhibited together. We've known each other for almost 4 decades, or around about 4 decades. We've seen each other's work over the years, and there was definitely a points that touched in our work. So we decided to exhibit together to show people this this point of these two worlds that collided in a sense. That's the world without end. It's our work is very open, if I can put it like that, and that's why the title is, in a sense, World Without End. It doesn't stop. And there's so much still to be done, in a sense.
Yeah. One of the remarks that I overheard at the opening of the exhibition was that someone said that it seems as if these creatures that you've made crawled out of these landscapes. There's a strong overlap in the art, and I thought that's a very interesting remark. When I looked at the sculptures, that is exactly what I saw. I think I've said what I wanted to say.
Good. Thank you for having a look, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Thanks a lot.